Hey guys, what's going on? Scary here, and I am live. Welcome to this Periscope. Welcome all my replay viewers. You can swipe up or swipe to the right. Share this out with your followers. Share this out with your viewers, whatever, and to your Twitter followers as well. And you can follow me on Facebook at facebook.com/farmingninja. People call me the Farming Ninja because I grew up on a farm wanting to be a ninja. You can actually follow me on Periscope by just tapping that little man icon over in the corner. How are you? How are you? How are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome. And I want to shoot a quick scope today. I've been actually traveling the last little while with my family. We were, going to I went to my parents' farm and was actually down there because my parents go down to the south for Christmas. And, while I was down there, I was listening to a lot of audiobooks. I was actually listening to and reading a lot of books that, because the farm was so, peaceful and quiet. I live in the city. And while I was down there, I was listening to a lot of audiobooks. And one of my favorite authors is John C. Maxwell. John C. Maxwell, one of the audios I was listening to was his one of his bestseller books, which was Failing Forward, How to Fail Forward. And he was talking about, taking out, stepping outside of your comfort zone and being able to, embrace the failing forward. And it got me thinking because, as I was driving back and the kids were asleep in the back of the car and everybody was, doing all of that, I started thinking about, what John C. Maxwell was saying in his audio. And, he was talking about failing forward. And often people are really scared to take the necessary steps that they need to be able to, get the results that they desire. Whether it's, I've seen it in my fitness business. I've seen it in my online marketing businesses. I've seen it in everywhere. People are scared to take those steps. And sometimes we're setting our expectations. Our expectations can actually set our limitations. Sometimes people expect things to be super, super easy. It's like somebody that, comes to me and they've hired me to, do a fitness, like to do some personal training with them, and get them back into shape. Usually people are out of shape. And, the expectation sometimes what we want to believe is that this is going to be the easiest possible thing ever. And then, just as long as I do this, it's going to, help. And the same thing that happens in, the home business space into, online marketing space when I'm teaching like affiliate marketing. I'm teaching how to build teams and how to build funnels and things like that into the online marketing space. People expect it to be easy. And then when they realize that, oh my God, it's really hard, whether it's hard the first time, it sets limitations on what they can and they can't do. You hit a brick wall and you're like, okay, well, I can't do that. That must take a special type of person doing that. And I've seen this like with people that have coached, where they initially start with something, well, I can't do that. I'm not you. I'm not. And what they don't realize is that they only see the outcome of what somebody has gone through to be able to get to it. And in a lot of ways, if I was to illustrate this in a way, it would be like, we see and admire, professional athletes all the time that make their way to the podium, and we see the results of, what they've done. If they've gotten a gold medal, we're like, wow, this is pretty crazy. When somebody gets a gold medal, you're, all ears, and you're like, holy cow, what do I, what, that's amazing. And hey, how are you, Candace? Good to see you, girl. It's getting cold here in Toronto, so I need to be in like Hawaii right now. I was just talking about, I was listening to some audio. I was down to see my family because they travel south for the winters. And I was listening to some audio from my favorite author, John C. Maxwell. And it was one of the audios that was talking about failing forward. We're getting lots of rain. Well, it's better than like freezing. Like the ground is actually frost. There's frost on the ground this morning, so a good sign that winter is now here, and I'm jealous as hell to be, sitting on the beach. Even if it was raining, I would be like still happy because I'm freezing right now. But, I was listening to an audio and it was about failing forward. It's about taking those initial things to fail forward. And sometimes, and people get into the mindset of they have these expectations that set limitations. They expect something to be easy, but when they realize that it's hard or that there is certain problems that they got to go overcome, they can set limitations. And sometimes you got to keep, raising the bar, because your potential for what you can do and what you can't do is limitless. If you say you can't, you can't. If you say you can, you can. I mean, I teach my kids all the time, and I talk to them. I was teaching my son because he really likes to give us a hard time with his homework. So I taught him a phrase, and I said, instead of saying I can't, how can I? So every time he says that, I say, what are you supposed to say? He goes, how can I? And you think about those things. Because if you go into the original mindset of that everything is going to be really easy, and everything is going to be super easy to do. Thanks, Candace. When we go into that mindset thinking it's going to be really easy, and the reality sort of sets in, like, if you're building a website, it's going to be hard at first, because if you've never built one before, it's going to be hard. But after a few cracks at it, it's going to get easier. But don't let the initial hardness, like, this is where people get into their blocks, and I've seen it with people trying to lose weight with me. They may be 50 pounds, 100 pounds overweight. It takes time to be able to bring that down. It takes hard work. It takes discipline to be able to do that. And it's backed by that emotional connection that we have to things. So if our emotional connection to me is, I want to be free, and I want to be with my family. I want to be an influence in their life. I want to be a participant in their life, not just some figurehead that, that's my dad, but he's always at work, type of thing. So in order to be free, I was willing to get outside of my comfort zone, and I wasn't letting the expectations. Like, initially I thought making money online was going to be easy. Really, when I found out, how to do it, it was actually quite the process. It set limitations for me in the beginning. And I slowly had to build up my confidence to be able to get past those limitations. Just like a lot of people are getting in their life, they're setting those limitations on their relationships. Candace can talk about this stuff as well too, because she's an amazing gal. She helps women out there be able to get past these things. But we set these limitations. We expect something to be good. What if there is a limitation from society? I think it's recreating and that's a great question. It's recreating that box. It's not just thinking outside of that box. As we go to where, there is a group of people, and there's always groups of people that can take you higher. That's one thing I love about our mastermind, and our 8-figure mastermind, is that it elevates our thinking to get beyond our problems. And what I coach people is, don't focus on the problem. Focus on how you can actually create solutions. It's how my wife and I actually tackle things. What is the solution? How do we solve this and keep moving on? Because as you grow, in the online sector, in the home business sector, whatever it is, as you grow, as your income grows, it's based on the amount of problems that you can do. So if you set expectations that everything's going to be easy, you're setting limitations on what you can do. If you're setting expectations that in one workout, in one thing, it's going to get you the results you want, you're going to be sadly mistaken. It's just like I love martial arts. I watch, UFC, I watch boxing, I watch, I love watching boxing. I was watching boxing this past weekend because it's just one of those things that I love it as a workout. But I respect the athletes that are going in there. And we often see these guys that are super talented, and we're like, wow, I can never be like that. Because we set limitations that we can't dream past what our present skills are. But what we don't realize, that's what I'm working on today on my website. It's tough, but pushing through, yes. Websites are not easy. But when you get through that first hurdle, there is that relief, like, okay, well, this is pretty good. I was maybe putting my expectation a little bit too high on how easy it was going to be or how much time it was going to take. But if I know that I'm going to start something the first time, I'm going to put an expectation that it might take me a few hours to learn this. But my goal is, by the next time I do it, I'm going to have it down to half the time. Just like when we look at those athletes, we don't realize that there is years of discipline and training that goes on with these guys. They put in time and effort to be able to master the skills. It's like, I'm a black belt. I've been a martial artist for over 30 years. And it was discipline of my habits, discipline of, mastering my, body and being able to do the things I needed to do. But I didn't just jump up one day and be able to do a 540-degree spinning heel hook kick. You don't just do that naturally. You have to fall, a bunch of times to figure out how balance is. But you got to be, recognizing what your goal is at the end of that. If your goal is to be free in the online space, why not, right? Get back up. My dad taught me that when I was on the farm. We used to ride horses. We had horses on our farm, ponies, when we were kids, because we didn't have much TV. But I fell off that horse so many times and knocked my breath out, I had to just keep getting up. Working on a website with a small budget. Listen, and that's where we all start. Everybody starts at ground zero. And you just have to accept the fact that we all start with ground zero, and then we have to work to scale ourselves up. Each level up should raise your limitations. It should be limitless of what you can potentially do. And you got that. Exactly. Like Candace said, you've got that. It's that don't expect everything to be easy. There's always going to be problems and unforeseen, but there is not a problem yet that you can't figure out a solution to. And sometimes it just takes stepping away from that and understanding that, it's a process. I was following the process that was outlined in Tim Ferriss's book, The 4-Hour Workweek. I figured if this guy can be making 20 grand a week, working 4 hours a week from wherever he wanted, why couldn't I? What was his process? What was his methods to doing that? We look for efficiency into our businesses and what we do. And as we learn new things, and you're constantly improving yourself on a daily basis, you're going to find easier and better methods to do that. I can take weeks to be gentle with self. Yes, it can. It can take a long time because we have to learn how to do certain things. We have to get out of that comfort zone. It says in The Magic of Thinking Big, it takes 21 days to create a new habit. 21 days to create a new habit. I respect people like Candace and, my friend Sheena. Sheena has been doing this 365-day blogging challenge, and she's been steadfast to this thing to this day. And that's all about creating an intention and a result from that. And what that result has actually done for her has just, compounded. And that is, the examples that we look at. Every day I'm trying to be a product of my product. Be a product of your product because it's the best way to be able to do it. Because when you're being a product of what you're doing, people can see and they can connect. So when you're sharing, little struggles that you have and saying, hey, I'm having a problem with this damn thing, my website, I can't get this doohickey over here to here, you can actually verbalize it and sometimes you can find those solutions. And then you can start raising your awareness and raising your skill level to a whole nother level. Because the worst thing that we can do is set limitations on ourselves. I don't ask my children to ever do that. I don't expect myself, my spouse, my friends, the people that I coach, the people that I care about and I love, I don't ever expect anybody to set limitations on what they can and can't do. But sometimes we got to quiet that voice of our mind and realize that it's going to take focused effort. It's going to take discipline to be able to do that. But usually that discipline that we can portray, and we all screw up, we all procrastinate at times, but when we can get over that and push through it and raise our limitations where there's the sky's the limit, we can do that. But go into the expectation that it's not necessarily going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it. And it was a saying that actually stuck with me from Jim Rohn. I am doing a class on money, and it's important to embody the energy. That's right, mind power. Exactly. Money is a horrible master, but it's a fantastic tool. And most people have a negative emotional connection to it. And that negative emotional connection actually, people say all the time, I am so worried about my debt, or they say that I wish I had more money. And what they're really telling the universe is that they don't have anything, and please don't give me any more. And what they should be saying is that I'm so grateful for the things that are coming into my life. I'm grateful for I have now the ability to be able to use this. It helps me raise my limitations. When people are starting things on a budget, just learning how to scale up is a big deal. And I love what John C. Maxwell was saying, and I was listening to this audio this whole weekend while I was at my family's. It was failing forward. Fail forward. We only learn, by two things: by failure and by failure. With every failure, there's a blessing in there. Thomas Edison failed 10,000 times before he created the light bulb, but he invented dozens of things along the way to his failure. If he gave up, we wouldn't have had what we had. Hey, how are you, Kat? Good to see you. I don't have any squirrels in my scope today, but I've been out just hanging out with my family because they how are you? They're traveling down to Texas for the winters. For the last decade, my parents have lived out south, and here in Toronto, it's really good. There is no light without darkness. There is absolutely true. Is that your ability to earn more is your ability to solve bigger and bigger problems. As you grow teams, you have to learn how to manage teams. As you grow, and you have to learn how to manage interpersonal relationships to people. Oftentimes, people are pursuing success, and they just have to work their mindset to get to where that is. And that mindset is going to, raise their limitations of what they can and can't do. It's like, going through a website. If you get stuck with something, I always tell people, listen, it's tough at first. I don't wish anybody to go in there and learn code like I did. I went through tutorials and realized that there was easier ways. But I was willing to do, things what it took to be able to produce what I wanted to do. But it took my game to a whole new level when I realized that if I set my expectations right, and I understood what my expectations were going into my business. If my expectations were to create $500,000 a year online, part-time, following the 4-hour work week, and I was willing to do what it took, and I laid out a plan to do it, I can do it. I just hired my second employee, learning how to go and delegate. Well, that's awesome. Candace, I got a great audio. Hit me up on Facebook, and I'll give it to you. It's an audio that I was having my friends listen, our teammates listen to. It's just about building teams and delegating and working and being a leader, because leadership is a skill that we got to do. New to your scope, love your scope. Thank you. I'm planning to teach English in order to support my website. It's a hard thing to do. Well, you know what I did, K-Bob? I'm trying to just, if I got your name, just put your name out there so we know who you are, because it's Zatab. One of the ways that I actually started, I've been building websites for about 7 years now or so, and blogging is one of the cornerstones I've been doing it. But with my websites, what I did to monetize everything was I used affiliate marketing. It was the art of referring other people's stuff to do that. So it was getting out of the mentality of trading time for money. We are programmed that we have to trade a certain amount of time to get a certain amount of money. The internet changes that, because one video that you shoot could be watched, to thousands of times over while you're doing other things. Like this weekend, I was just looking at my affiliate commissions, and I did a little over $500 in affiliate commissions. K-Tab. Hopefully I'm saying that right. And, these were all in autopilots. These were things that I had programmed a sequence of events to happen, to make it happen. And that was the thing. I was making use of my time. So if I was working for an hour, I was working really efficiently. And I was setting things up so that they're always going to be up and running. They're evergreen. They're set it and forget it. And that anybody can, plug into that. So I'm not setting limitations of what I can and can't do. And, setting an expectation of what I want to happen for this thing. If I'm setting up a funnel, if I'm setting up a capture page, or if I'm setting up a video, I'm thinking this video can be used forever. This page that I'm setting up that may take me an hour to do can be used forever. I'm saying, and if it's leading to an offer that's evergreen, which means that it can be used forever, that effort is working for me. And then it's all my job to make sure that I can get as many people in front of that as possible. And that's it. It's connecting those dots. But don't let your limitations hold you back from what it is. Don't let your fear of I don't know, all this technical jargons, or I don't know how to do that stuff. It doesn't matter as much. What matters is that you have the capacity to learn. You have the capacity to, accelerate your learning by getting around the right people, by plugging into the right coaching and following the right systems. I love it too. And I love you guys as well too, and I appreciate you guys as well too. Candace, you're an amazing gal as well. You've got just such an incredible heart and good personality, and women around the world that have been following you are getting there. Skip the voice of the negative. Yes, it's understanding that we all walk around. My wife always tries to ask, what do we think? And guys think really, simply. Like, I'm in my 40s. I'm always worried about my family. Thinking about them, and I'm thinking about the things in there, but it's learning to quiet the voices of our mind, because we have these doubts, these fears, these anxieties that creep into our mind all the time. And it's like this little wussy that's standing on one corner, and it's like this little guy that's saying, don't worry, you can do it. How can you? And this guy is saying, oh, but I can't. You got to be able to flick that off. And it's through doing mindset training, by listening to that. Ego, blame, shames, and guilt, self. That's right. Amen to that. Well said. Ego, blame, shames, and guilt, self. Right. And, and when we're listening to the right thing and we're getting around the right people, we all got negative forces in our life. Some of them we can't do much about it because we're either related to them or whatever. But you can be the change that you want to see the world change. When I've seen husbands and wives go through rocky times, I always say, listen, if your wife, you like to other friends, and if I say, and guy says, my wife is being a bitch to me, I usually tell them it's because you made her that way. It's because you made her that way because you didn't give her something that she needed. And it's vice versa. Sometimes we have to learn how to work on these things, because we can let frustrations and limitations trickle out of the core components of what we're trying to build in life. To me, there's just five things. My faith, my family, my friends, my fitness, and my finances. If I can control those things, if I can be the best person I can be, it can actually, trickle down into my kids. My kids get to be, that. We enable bad habits. That's right. Enabling bad habits just is going to, be a big snowball. It's going in there over and over again. But if we can control what goes on to our heads, that's why I listen and I read and I participate every day. Read, listen, and participate each and every day. Even if I feel like I don't feel like doing it, I just do it. Because that's going to create that discipline. That discipline creates habits. Those habits create results that are going to go inside your thing. And those results start to build your confidence that you can raise your limitations. You can actually say, well, I was expecting too little. Thank you, Candace, for introducing the great folks. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that, Venus. And, I just speak from the heart, because I truly love people. I love my family so much, and I love to be an influence on people's lives, because I believe firmly that each of us are here because somebody needs what we have. Each of us are here because somebody needs what we have. People out there need your voice. They need to hear what you've gone through. When we talk about our story, like amazing women like Candace that shares her story and shares, her personality and her wisdom with people, it takes things to a whole new level, because you get to understand that. And sometimes it's those people that just see that for the first time and go, holy shit, I finally get it. I understood it. I got the message I was doing, why I was doing that. And that's really what it is. And I like chronologically doing these things, because my kids are going to be able to see this someday and say, hey, what did my old man say when he was like this? Someday when I'm long and gone, my videos will live on. It will actually help to build, their character. Give them the advice maybe when I'm not there to be able to give them. Got to go. Listen, I've got to go too as well too. I've been babbling on for long enough. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. And I really do appreciate you guys jumping on here. I know it's been a while since I scoped, maybe a day or two. But I will see you guys next time. Do not limit yourself. Do not accept status quo. Always raise the bar on what you can do, and learn how to get your expectations in check. What really helps me is from meditation to silence my negative ego and getting through it with my soul. That's right. You're awesome, but I need to know when you periscope. I mean weekly. I'm going to actually start periscoping, I think, regularly. I'm trying to do 10 o'clock in the morning, Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to stick to this the best I can. 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday. And I take care of the 8FM team account. I'm going to be scoping once a day, and then I'm going to probably do one at night as well, too. So it's my intention to be able to do that, to create these habits, because I slipped a bit the last few days, and I got lazy because I was out with my parents, and I didn't do a couple scopes for the last, a couple days. So I was really good. I was getting consistent. I think I've got about 140 of them up, but I've got more as well too. So guys, I appreciate you. I love you. I will see you next time. Be sure to tune in to the replay if you're just jumping in right now, and you can actually watch all of that. Thank you very much a lot as well too. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your attention. I know your time is precious, and I just wanted to give you a lot of value. If you want to learn more about what we do, down on this corner right here, below that little guy, you can tap on them and you can go onto our list and you can get our free report, and you can learn how to work with us. So appreciate you guys. I'll see you next time.